when you take the digital option for things you're doing the green way, that always says, like have your online bills and don't print them out. But actually, ICT is emitting about 3 to 4% of all the world's greenhouse gases, which is more than the aviation industry, which a lot of people aren't aware of.
Hi, Julie. Welcome to Shiko.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today.
Julie, can you share a bit more about yourself?
Absolutely. So, I'm originally from the States. I was born in Detroit and grew up there working as an engineer. So, I worked in automotive engineering as a human factors engineer for several years. And then I became very interested in the screens inside the cars. And once I was learning more about what goes on those screens, it got me thinking about how do we design digital interfaces. And at the time, this was sort of a new experience to have. So, I went back to university for another master's degree to go into depth to learn about human computer interaction. And that space became user experience or UX. And UX is a way of helping us put the person in the center of a design problem, thinking about how we can build the machines around the people themselves. And I've spent the last 20 some years working in Silicon Valley for big companies like Google, I was with for 8 years, Facebook for 3 years. I work at the BBC on iPlayer, Autodesk, and also out here in Singapore, not only with Google, but also with my company, Climate UX. So I've been doing this for about 20 some years, and I feel so lucky to have gotten the chance to do something for a career that I love and feel passionate about, and then ended up being able to find a way to help people and make money doing it.
You said climate UX. What is climate UX? And what is the kind of problem that you're trying to solve through climate UX?
Absolutely. Climate UX is a new company. We've been out for about 6 months now. Our company is focused on helping the most people possible to get active in climate change, maximizing human involvement with climate change. One of the big problems that I've come across as I've been learning more and exploring a lot of sustainability questions is how much it's a people problem. There's a real physicality to the environment, of our built environment, of our manufacturing processes. But all of these things that are slowing us down from implementing the solutions that we all know need to change are people questions. And by using this technique of user experience, by putting the person and the center of a technology question, it really helps to help people learn about how to approach problems in new ways. So, our company helps anyone who cares about sustainability as a brand value get their digital footprint to match their brand values. And we can help you with you own an app or a website to help people get move forward. And our dream is to build software and share it with the world so that people can see themselves in the climate crisis and know how to take active in their most effective way.
What is something that you're trying to solve that people and other organizations, when it comes to sustainability, they're not able to see it? What is it that climate UX is doing?
Absolutely. We're looking at a union here between behavior science, which is helping people understand how to make great choices, even at times that it might feel uncomfortable or not be the fun or easy option. We're looking also at data science. There's so much incredible data that scientists have generated down to square meters, half a meter of detailed information of all sorts of incredible layers of detail that can help people really see where they sit on this planet. The world is so big and so complicated. It's also so difficult to see how one person's action can actually make an impact on the climate crisis itself. People might feel, oh, I brought my water bottle with me, or I brought a recycling bag shopping. Did I do it? Did I solve the climate crisis? And we all know intuitively that that's not enough. And yet it's very unclear what to do to take action on that. So our hope is by helping to connect to behavior science, making the motivation high, making the barriers for access low, helping people take action in an easy way, combined with really granular and detailed data science, and then making it connected with user experience, which is obsessed with the idea of making things easy to use. How do you make things as usable as possible? And that's actually our mission on the company. Our logo is make a usable future. something that people can engage with, that it shouldn't have to be very painful for them or very difficult. We want people, as many people as possible, to take action. And to do that, we need to make those actions palatable, we need to make them accessible, and we need to make them meaningful as well.
You said easy. Now, easy in today's day and age is very interchangeably used with AI. What's your or Climate UX's take on AI, given we're talking about digital footprint, we're talking about helping humans understand and changing that sense of human behavior as well?
Yeah, so let's start off with some like basic facts. One problem that is happening is ICTs and is emitting a ton of greenhouse gases. When I first got into this, I thought, oh, when you take the digital option for things, you're doing the green way. That always says, like have your online bills and don't print them out. But actually, ICT is emitting about 3 to 4% of all the world's greenhouse gases, which is more than the aviation industry, which a lot of people aren't aware of. And once we think about the amount of carbon being emitted, it starts to make sense. You realize, wait, it's like our phones and our data centers and everything, they're all running on electricity, and that electricity needs to be made and coming from somewhere. The servers themselves, the devices are made out of minerals, and those, as we're starting to see play out on the global stage right now, are under demand. Water is needed to cool these centers. So these resources, these precious resources, are being used quite intensively. And we've all heard about AI's water hungry, material hungry, electricity hungry needs. And we can all see the trend that AI is taking on. It's increasing, and I think it's an example of a technology where the genie is out of the bag. Like, it is going to be here. There isn't really, I think, a realistic future where we're going to be able to say, oh, no more AI for people. It's in everything these days, doors and elevators, everything's got a AI. It can have AI, it has these days. And so because of this uptick in technology, I think it's important to think about not only how can we reduce the intensity of the usage for carbon of AI, but we also need to be thinking about how can we apply AI to really meaningful problems. There's a wonderful series of classes you can take that help sort of understand unique problems that AI can solve that human researchers might have trouble with. And by using some of these tools, for example, to identify water loss in our water pipes, we lose more water actually than we're transporting just because of the like leakiness of our water systems. We could make better water travel systems. That would be an incredible advantage, and AI could help us do that. If you can design a more flexible electrical grid, here in Singapore, maybe a bit less of a problem, but in the United States, where I'm from, a flexible electric grid is a really big problem. It's very difficult for people to imagine and find opportunities to balance their loads, especially as virtual power plants or VPPs are coming online. So, as the grid is starting to change and evolve, it's more than our traditional model of like big producer, transmission, and then consumer at the end. Even today, you can go to IKEA and get solar panels to plug into your own house. So now every apartment can be an electricity producer. So as we're adding all these new technologies, AI will be able to help us find interesting solutions forward. So I think I'm advocating more for a responsible use of the technology to help us with sticky problems we haven't been able to solve in the past, because a lot of the solutions exist technically, but to be able to implement them is one of the greatest challenges we're facing. And I think AI will be helpful.
How do you think that using UX design, the challenges that we're experiencing right now, would be sort of simplified?
It's a really good question. So, one area we've heard people talk a lot about in climate is a willingness to understand the effect of political action. Is this policy the right policy to pass? Is this the right way to word our bills or to structure our carbon taxes? I think if we're able to simulate and plan about who we're trying to implement, then we'd be able to have much more impactful outcomes from our work. So, one of the great things about putting people at the center of your design process, of taking a human centered approach, is that actually it works for any human. So, those humans could be people like you and I in our everyday lives. That could also be people who are living and, at the very fringes of society, who are not creating the emissions, but are need most help with resilience against the effects of climate change. It even could make us think more about politicians, which it turns out are also people too, a big surprise to a lot of us. But they are also thinking about how they can take action and how to create influence. So I think there's quite a number of methods that we could use to bring the human back to the center of our process. Another great thing about using UX in this process is the earth itself can be a player in our design process. We can think about the earth uh, as a human that's being infected by this, as a user of our system, because a lot of our solutions are often geared out only for the next few years, maybe 5 years. But the timescales we need to be considering are so much longer. So, a lot of these same techniques, if we use them to bring the earth and to bring the circularity and kind of core sustainability principles to the front, can be used as part of the UX process and help people make clear trade offs between what they need to be doing today and what they want to be getting at in the future. So UX, I think, I feel has a lot of really cool applications. Right now, I'm putting together a task force of people who are going to be UXers thinking about the climate. It's a global initiative from the UX Professionals Association. So if any of your listeners are UX professionals and they're really excited to think about how they could get involved, this would be a chance to author a set of standards that can be practical advice for people all around the world as they're trying to bring this into design as all sorts of different systems, from financial to, to retail, to the range of different products that are out there in the digital world, because a lot of our systems are being affected by designers and UXers today. If you have a website or an app, we can help you. So a lot of people are starting to think, oh, well, do I need to know all about sustainability, or do I need to have a big UX team?
Mm.
Actually, if you have any of these platforms online, we're able to help reduce your carbon footprint, which is not only great for your ESG report, not only the best possible thing for the earth, but it's also something that people can take action on in a very, autonomous way. A lot of us have a lot of authority over this kind of actions, and it'll be a big chance for people to make changes. So, first and foremost, if you have an app or website, please come to us. We're happy to work with you to help you understand not only the impact of what's out there, but also quick and easy fixes. We're going to be launching a cool new product just this month that helps people learn about the carbon footprint of their product. So if you follow us on LinkedIn or on one of the many social platforms, we'll be offering free audits for a limited period of time. And we love to get people to have a chance to see how some easy changes can actually make a pretty big difference in their products today, which reduces also their operation costs, because you do have to pay energy for your storage, for your hosting, and using less is a good policy in all aspects of sustainability. So those are, I think anyone who's got a digital footprint, we're here to help. Another area that I think I could give you an example of is a couple, case studies like you suggested. One case study is we work closely with a brand out of the US that's doing Transition AI, a very exciting conference to talk about how they're going to use energy transition to empower the AI technology. It's really for people who are big into electricity companies, and the next event's going to be out of San Francisco. So we worked with them to help make sure that their design for their website and for their visual tools are all looking and using the least amount of energy
Mm.
possible, reflecting the value they have on reducing that. So we can do design work. We also have worked with a number of other companies, for example, with SML, which is a label making company out of China. You need to be able to track the carbon footprint through an eco chain, and they're
Yeah.
very passionate about sustainability as a company. We worked with them on their website to identify key areas where their website's not only difficult to use, but it also is costing them money and creating carbon emissions. So by finding that perfect nexus where we're actually able to help them make a better product that's cheaper and better for the earth has been really the sweet spot where we've been able to help customers in the past. And in just the last 6 months, I've been so happy to see how many people are looking to align that brand value to their goals. And this is something that can be added again to any ESG report. It can help companies save real meaningful money on their hosting costs as well. So that's just a couple examples of ways we've helped companies in the past and the ways that we could also help companies in the future.
Is it right to say that if you engage climate UX, you're also generating green profit?
I think that's a great thing. Fantastic framing because it's true. As people are thinking about how to make sure that their profit is aligned to their values, that reducing costs is a great way to go about that, but also to be putting their money towards green hosting and
Mm.
other great kind of examples of using the green grid, making sure that the energy that they're taking is renewable. Another great way for people to make sure that they're connecting to and using their sources. And this can often also be a launching point for their employees. So many young people today are so concerned about climate change, and we want to help make sure that companies are there to help the employees take action on it because more and more companies are looking to more and more people are looking to companies to take action on the climate change. They can see that their politicians may or may not be doing it. They can see that a lot of or institutions may or may not be able to do it. But we do know and place a lot of faith often in companies to take action. And for younger employees, and for older employees, anybody excited and passionate about the climate, this is a great opportunity for them to engage with their employees and to align those brand values to their goals. In fact, most people, this is an interesting fact I learned about recently, most people are looking to have people take action on climate change. There's a sense that, like, oh, if you're interested in sustainability, it's just you, you're alone out there. But it's not true. It's about 86% of people in the world. I'll say that again.
Oh, wow.
86% of people care about climate change and want to see change to make sure that their people are taking action on it. And whether they think that change should come from a government, a company, individual, efforts, it is, that ranges as well. But I want people to know they're not alone. If they care, it's most likely other folks in your company care too. And these companies are made out of people. There's no aliens coming down from the sky and insisting that we all need to start polluting for our businesses. We are ourselves the ones who are making that change. And I think it's a pretty exciting opportunity to be in the right time and also making green profit, as you pointed out. That I am completely pro business. I think it's wonderful and we're doing a great job. People, building what's really needed. And part of what's needed is the right fit for longevity for their companies.
One thing that I really like that climate UX is empowering the bottom up approach that people are really looking for when they're not getting the top down approach. With that, Julia, I want to ask you. So you shared with us that you started with engineering, then you moved towards UX, and you're so passionate about sustainability. You're now an entrepreneur with your amazing T shaped career. How can someone who wants to make an impact, and you said that a lot of people, when they're thinking about sustainability, impact, they feel lonely.
Yeah.
What is one piece of advice that you would give when someone wants to pivot into impact or sustainability?
Absolutely. This is a journey that I went on, and I want to share with your listeners because it's also very personal to me. I had been working in tech for 20 some years, and I felt that, like, once I had developed this technical expertise, maybe this was it. Maybe this was the thing I need to keep doing for the rest of my career. And it would be irresponsible of me to change. I have a family, and I need to think about, the future. And as I was thinking about this, I became concerned about sustainability. Part of my work at Google was to travel to sub-Saharan Africa, and through that work, I met people whose houses had been washed away in floods. I'd met people whose family members had passed away from heat exposure, and it made me realize a lot of these things I had thought about climate change. Oh, it's something we should fix in 30 years. It's something in 2050 we should start working on. Made me realize that's not happening in 2050. It's not happening in 2030. It's happening today. And at first I felt very disempowered by that. I think a lot of people talk about like imposter syndrome, and I felt, oh, it's just little me.
Mm.
What could I possibly do to help with such a big and serious problem? And I sort of threw my hands up and said, oh, I guess there's nothing I can do. I've developed this expertise in one area and I certainly can't make a change. And I started working with a coach who was amazing. As a climate coach, she was helping women to think about how can they find leadership roles in climate. And she was so excited about what I knew. And I was so excited about her background I realized a lot of us are coming with skill sets we're not even aware of the impact that they could have. Just because you might be one of the first people to think of an application of your skill set in a certain place doesn't mean it can't apply there. You might be trailblazing a new and important space. And I think being brave to make the change, to declare a new interest is really vital. So the first thing I feel like in a lot of these career transitions and also in my own career I found helpful is you need to start with learning. You need to start with a beginner's mindset. No matter how long you've been working, no matter how highly respected you are in your organization or how senior, first start with the beginner's mindset. What don't you know about? And make it your business to learn about it. I was really grateful that Google gave me time, what they call 20% project to start working on a range of sustainability projects. And when I approached sustainability initiatives inside the company, I said, "Hey, I'm excited to volunteer. I want to help on these projects." They were excited that someone senior who had a lot of knowledge in the technical side of product development was excited to work with them. So I, tried different projects. Oh, maybe, updating a website in this way wasn't useful or as interesting, or maybe working on this AI tool was actually way more impactful and had much bigger potential to help. And being part of these different journey helped me understand how can I be most useful. And part of what I realized is my experience with soft skills mattered a lot as well. I had been managing teams for a long time at Google and at Facebook. And what I found is that the ability to set a clear mission, to bring people together, to get volunteers excited and active, and make sure that there's clarity was something we desperately need in sustainability. That's a really important skill as well. And it helped me feel more empowered to continue to reach out. Once I had a sense of what I wanted to do, I also spent quite a bit of time finding my co founder. Finding the right partner who can complement you is so important when you're thinking about starting a business. Not only was it someone that I can work with and really like working with, her skill set and mine are in very different spaces.
Mhm.
So they felt quite complementary. Where, and then additionally, we shared a core mission. We both felt how important it is to maximize the number of people involved with climate change. She is bringing her experience around communications and PR and comms, making sure that people have that point of view, because part of the problem is explaining it to people, but education itself isn't going to do it either. Neither is some cool app gonna like magically stop climate change, right? We need to be able to tie together multiple disciplines to take action. So starting off from a place of knowledge was definitely like I think the first point I would share with people. The second thing I would say is finding allies, as I mentioned, finding the right co-founder or finding people inside of organizations you're already part of. At AlterCop is a really great conference here in Singapore, which is an alternative to the COP that's coming up. And the COP is going to be talking more about, trends. One thing I kept hearing there, and I hear in a lot of climate conversations, is any job can be a climate job. And I've heard that, and first I was like, well, does that mean that it's nobody's job? That nobody should be doing anything? But what I think is a better way to interpret that is that the problem is so multifaceted. There's no one magic tap of the hammer that's going to solve our problems. The problems are so multifactorial that it needs a lot of different perspectives to do that. And if your expertise is in marketing, if your expertise is in sales, in things that you might think, "Oh, how can I connect that to sustainability?" There is a role for you. These companies need you. We need you to get involved in this process. And if you don't have a deep technical expertise, but you wanna share your time and you wanna think about how you can put your hands towards a problem, even you can find a range of opportunities. From climate UX, you can beta test with us. Just try out our new products and give us your feedback because I think it's important for our solutions to make the most sense for the most number of people possible. So start with deep knowledge, find the right partner, and make sure that you are leveraging your unique skill set when you're going to reach out with folks. And that'll help people find the right path forward. Not everybody needs to go back to school to get a climate degree. Not everybody needs to have a bunch of technical engineering degrees. If that's where your passion takes you, it helps. But it's also important to leverage what you've already built up from other skill sets as well.
This is a great blueprint. Thank you so much, Julie. I've loved this conversation. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your knowledge.
Thank you so much. This was a wonderful chance to share with you, and so grateful to you for this wonderful podcast you've been putting together.